It's a little bit off. It is going to be Mr. R versus Glutonny, not Mr. R versus Quick. As we get into the first game, it does seem like.
All right, so
there we go.
A little bit of history. In the previous game, winter semifinals, these two guys played against each other, and Mr. R managed to make it work 3-2 against Glutonny. Very close set, very tense set, but this is a crazy start.
And that is Mr. R. Okay, so he did a smart thing. He knew he got hit by the bite, and he realized if I mash out right now, he's gonna be in a great position. So instead, he didn't mash at all, and he just let both of them die. He just let both of them die. He didn't mash at all. So instead of being put in a potentially stock losing situation, he instead decided to trade the stocks, just like that. Of course, there's a way to play the situation just barely, just a little bit better, which is if you mash out at the final moment, in which case you get thrown out of the mouth, and Wario dies as he, enters the blast zone in the bite end lag. So he could have played it a little bit better, but at the end of the day, not a bad trade at all, preventing himself from getting gimped from the get-go.
Wow, that's very interesting to look at, and it kind of reminds me of these fighting games where you to get out of grabs you don't need to mash at all, right? So it actually actively teaches players to not mash in fighting games.
Yep.
Stuff like that is very interesting to me. Now, Mr. R already trailing a little bit behind after that weird first stock. But he's catching up. He's doing quite well.
Yeah, so he lost the second stock to a very, very well-placed gimp by Glutonny, finding that forward air, lasting hitbox on the up B. Of course, when Chrom is rising up, he does not have a hitbox. So that's when you want to intercept the soaring slash, and that is exactly what Glutonny did. Tries to go for a early waft, but not going to find it. Of course, looking at the timer, he might not even get a second one. No bike on deck. Looking very scary, but Mr. R cannot quite leverage the situation.
No, not quite indeed. Now, 127% on Wario. You might think, okay, this is easy kill percentage, but Wario is actually quite hard to kill because of his tricky air movement.
As well as his weight, he is one of the least killable characters in the game. Again, that side beat, a double edge dance. Yeah, the double edge dance, one of Mr. R's classics. Gonna get the KO on deck. But yeah, Wario, I think he's one of the hardest characters to kill in the game. He's heavy, has great recovery, and he has amazing kill power, which also makes you a little bit reluctant of overcommitting, right? Which is something that is not often factored in. But characters that do really reversal situations well, like Wario, are that much harder to kill.
But Mr. R has slowly but surely made his way back into the game. Now we see the down throw, and there it is. Yes, it is.
A quick first game. After that stock trade, we were playing with 2 stocks apiece. And just like that, Glutonny making the most of that situation. The early gimp, he really needed that. Looking at the way the game ended in terms of percentages, he really did need that early stock. But he did find it, and just like that, he is going to take the lead. Game number 1, explosive game, and very, very fun to watch, honestly. The way these players go back and forth, the way these players try to call each other out is very, very interesting.
Yeah, but I also like the restraint on both these guys, right? Like you said earlier, if you make a mistake against either of these players and against either of these characters, you can eat a lot of percentage. So you can see exactly when they decide to back off from an advantage situation, and they decide to just fall back and get another one of those advantageous situations. Right, it's actually very obvious if you start looking at it.
Yep, never try to overcommit, especially on Wi-Fi when it's that much harder to react to your opponent.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have been paying attention, you've noticed Wario coming out from Glutonny. So he went Wolf against Mr. R in winners, and he went Wolf against Quick. But now he's switching to the Wario, and let's see how that works out for him. As Mr. R has a character switch of his own, moving on to Snake.
All right, there we go. It's the Snake coming out this time. I love watching Mr. R Snake. Very creative setups with the grabs. Really reminds me in some ways of how he used to play Snake in Brawl as well. So very interested to see what Glutonny can do against this unique style of Snake.
Yeah, and Glutonny is known as a Snake killer. He's extremely good at the matchup. Has a lot of, Wario has a lot of tools to, capitalize on Snake's weaknesses as well. The bike, for example, being extremely potent versus that up B that you saw right there. That said, I know Mr. R has done well against Glutonny on Wi-Fi in the past. I've seen them practice a few times, and it definitely looked pretty solid for Mr. R. He is known as a more aggressive Snake, really likes to utilize those normals rather than focusing on a more defensive grenade-based playstyle.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that trap, though, that was a good trap.
Beautiful trap, and I watched it. We watched it unfold right before our eyes, chat, and I loved to see that. The Nikita setting up for a roll trap, and there is that up B. Tries to get the KO, doesn't quite get it. Mr. R makes it back to the stage.
Yep. Lasting Becker from Mr. R is going to help him out too. Now he's recovering, dash attacks to center stage. Of course, the Snake classic is dash attacking to center stage. Very hard to counterplay, requires very specific positioning. And when you go for that positioning, that is when your opponent can actually, or that's when Snake can actually just make it back to the stage slowly. The downward from the ledge though from Wario is going to make sure that he makes it back, getting the KO in the process. Very well done, very aggressive option by Glutonny. Have to establish those at times just to keep your opponent honest.
Yeah, and Ramses, wouldn't you agree that it's very important to KO Snake at the right time? Because otherwise he just starts tossing out grenades, starts trading damage, and that's usually very good for Mr. R, right?
Yeah, for sure. And the way Mr. R is cooking these grenades is going to be hard for Glutonny to deal with them. He needs to immediately handle the hitbox as soon as Mr. R throws them forward. And usually the way you counterplay the way that this cooking happens is by playing aggressively. But if you play aggressively, you kind of play into what Mr. R wants, which is, you know, the utilization of his normals in that mid-range to call you out, utilizing the up tilt, forward tilt, and even neutral air to really occupy some airspace.
Right, and we see Glutonny's character glowing. We have to talk about it. It's the waft. Definitely a very important part here of Glutonny's game plan. Now, do you think he's going to save it for the third stock, or is he going to use it to secure a cheat kill?
Ooh, I think he needs to make something happen soon, because that confirm was quite well done. And now we have Snake. Look at that. Snake in a lead. Like you said, now he's going to be trying to trade damage. However, Wario, no slouch himself. He can handle the trade time.
Wow.
Sometimes almost Mr. R getting the grenade to forward air, but Glutonny barely eking out that air dodge.
I loved what I saw just now. The B reverse into neutral air to get back to the stage. Lovely work there. Ooh, the bike.
Super lasting hitbox on the bike. It's going to cover that air dodge to the ledge, and that is exactly what Glutonny wanted, because now, like you mentioned, the waft is on deck, and that's going to be extremely scary. Mr. R tries to get a single hit of the down air right there, does not find it, but he does find a few good hits. Both the grenade as well as the up smash connecting. Very well done. The grab is going to get broken out with the back throw. Mr. R, he's looking for an up tilt. You can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. In there, now going to connect on the platform.
Yeah, definitely looking for some sort of kill move. Look at the C4. Keep an eye on that, because he's been using that to great avail in the set. Oh, that could have been it.
The up tilts get thrown out time and time again, but the up tilt to Waft is going to finish it, and Glutonny making the comeback happen. I mean, are we surprised? Are we really surprised? It is Wario. It is Waft. It is 140% rage, and it was the tilt that he needed. Mr. R, he was looking for a KO, but found death instead.
It's just so painful. A single mistake, and it's over.
Yep.
Imagine having to play a 1st to 10 against Glutonny.
I mean, yeah, but of course, like we said before, Glutonny just kind of put himself in a position to make those early kills happen, and he did there as well. Like, he was in the right place to make sure the up tilt would land, which is not easy for Wario, because Wario does not really have the ground mobility to position himself on the ground, so he needs to feint in the air some way, shape, or form to put himself in the right position, because otherwise you're going to get situations like that where the up tilt trades with the grenade, and that is not going to lead into a waft confirm at all. I'll be at a shield frame 6, by the way, extremely fast. Very well done by Glutonny.
All right. Now, Mr. R trailing behind already. This is usually a very bad spot for Snake. Uses the throw invincibility to dodge out on the damage from that grenade. Keeps on pushing his advantage, but now it's Mr. R who's trading back quite nicely.
The bite hits the grenade, not really what you're looking for. Down air, meaty enough to cover multiple options. Up smash ledge trap is going to get bypassed, but not entirely. Up tilt on the jump was, that went so fast. I had no idea what was going on until I saw Wario leave the screen. That was crazy. So Mr. R finding the lead again. We've seen this happen last time. He does so well at the beginning of the game.
Good. Thanks. Yeah. All right. So great
nice
card.
confirm.
Yeah.
Yep. The grenade to the back air, and now Glutonny fighting his way out. 150% on Mr. R is going to lead into the grab, which is going to lead into the bike. Very nice kill setup by Glutonny. Very aware of his surroundings, setting up that bike, leading into a kill. Of course, Mr. R had to be a little bit more wary of the grab right there. Oh,
right.
Not what he wanted.
Now he
Not what he wanted at all.
Ooh, Mr. R going off stage, gets nared, gets back aired for his troubles. 47%, 52%. Glutonny is building up these percentages. Ooh.
He misses the waft, tries to get more hits, but not quite finding it. The downer is going to connect though, and now it's really tit for tat. 80% on Mr. R, 60 on the Wario. Glutonny is looking very strong right now with a small lead and a lot of room to camp for his waft.
Yeah, and small lead is all you need. Right, that's true.
Big tech chase, big damage. The up smash not quite gonna hit Wario off of his bike, but no confirmation by Glutonny. Tries to find more hits, is gonna get the grab offstage situation. Of course, Snake goes high, mixes up with the wave bounces right there. Ooh.
Yeah, and these mix-ups are very important to make it back to the bottom of the stage again.
The dash attack almost finding that KO, but not quite. Missed out with a great DI right there at 150. Almost gets hit by the guaranteed grab setup with the bike. Not quite. There's the C4, the back air as well. Hard aerial to play around, especially for a character like Wario, who's a little bit on the slower and less disjointed side.
All right, now
just back up behind the shield. Not gonna do it, but the DI almost made it do it. Oh, chasing with the bike, allowing him to go extra high.
Wow, I didn't. You kind of have to do that against Snake, right? Because he's especially vulnerable when he's flying up. So Glutonny goes all the way up there, finds his KO that he wanted for so long. Now Mr. R trying to get something backer than Nikita. Not gonna do it.
Again, waft on deck, which is scary for Mr. R, landing up air with the platform. Not gonna lead him too much, but it is very scary to forward tilt on the missed stack. Glutonny, he's hunting. He's on the lookout, but he does not find what he's looking for. The bike, though, extremely strong burst range. Back air, huge range on that one, too. Yeah, landing. Mr. R doing the same way. B reverse, B reverse.
Yeah, the Glutonny not going up all the way this time. Just plays it a little bit slower. And we see the game gets the down throw.
Yeah, C4 is going to do it right there. Very well done. Glutonny looking for an up B in the jungle. Not going to fight it. Mr. R, he's not out of the game yet. The waft whiffs, which is big for Mr. R right here.
Beautiful prediction there from you. And we see Snake slowly starting to build up a percentage. And we've seen Mr. R in this situation before, right? Where he keeps on getting back into the game by slowly whittling away at Glutonny. Now, this is a big deficit. But here is that down throw.
And there's the confirm for Glutonny. Very well done. And I think that's going to be the 3-0.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, okay. So, well done by Glutonny, honestly. And I think that just shows how dominant Glutonny is with his Wario, showing that not just the Wolf can pull out the moves, but also the Wario, extremely nimble, extremely deadly. And that's going to be huge for Glutonny because he advances to winners finals or grand finals where he faces All Babies.
Wait, am I mistaken? I'm just starting to think like this set was so quickly. Was it really a 3-0?
I think Chrom. He lost with Chrom.
Right. Yeah. And two times with Wario. With Snake. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So dominating showing. I mean, it's weird because we're used to seeing all these early or grueling sets. Game 5, Game 5, Game 5, and now just Glutonny showing his dominance in the tournament today.
Amazing work by Glutonny. A grueling bracket he has played. Not only he lost against Mr. R, but now back-to-back winning against Quick and Mr. R.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty darn good. But now we have in the grand finals. It's finally time, ladies and gentlemen. We had him waiting for a long time. It's All Babies versus Glutonny.
Yep.
It's a classic UK versus France show off here, right?
Yeah, but with some different faces than usual. I mean, in Smash 4, we all saw X's coming through. Now it's all babies to defend the country. By the way, guys, I'm sorry for the synchronization issues. We've quickly fixed the way the streams are synchronized. That's why I've been a little bit busy the last couple of seconds. But we should be back in sync now. Again, our apologies if that made the viewing experience a little bit worse, but we're back on track.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't in sync. You were just predicting what was going to happen, right? You were looking one second into the future, always managing. You called out the waft. I was like, well, I'm not seeing any. Oh, there it is. Okay, I see.
Now this